Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series, where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style. Alright, we got the last of the wizards, which is the bottom path that has the pod, the shimmer, and the necromancer. Two of these three guys are pretty cool. The other one, not so cool, although he may look pretty cool. So we're starting off with the shimmer. This is for decamo, although to be honest, it's not the best on a majority of maps. I'll talk more about that later. Necromancer is crazy mid-game, and the Prince of Darkness is also just an insane tower, a DDT monster too, you might say. And honestly, like, he isn't used as much. So the shimmer, basically on most maps, I find this guy just to be inconsistent. You could work with him if you have like a spike factory at the end to clean up, like if there's a random leaking pink or whatever, but most of the time, unless it's like a beginner map, he's just going to end up missing some stuff. So I prefer other decamo options. Necromancer's got some pretty crazy stats. You get the unpopped army now, and when you get some buffs on them, they actually turn to be really good, can do a lot of single target damage. And the Prince of Darkness, even for an extremely cheap price, is just this on steroids. If you were playing for a long time, you know that he was before not even the Prince of Darkness. He was the Soulbind and did literally nothing. So basically for the crosspaths, you could either go 2x or O2x. For the shimmer, it doesn't really matter, but for the necromancer, you either are going to get the wall of fire or the arcane blast. The arcane blast will allow the zombie bloons to travel farther, which is pretty cool. You also can, I guess, see over walls, but either way you can target over walls, so that really doesn't do much. And then for the wall of fire, you just get the wall of fire attack for the tier 4, but when you get to the Prince of Darkness, the wall of fire is this buffed version of the wall of fire, which is pretty cool. So basically, if your bloons are going to be traveling far, I kind of recommend getting the 205. I generally think it's a lot better. People would argue on that, but if you're going to be doing like more kind of short range damage, adding the wall of fire, especially because when you get it to the pod, it will buff that up too, is pretty cool. Also will allow you to pop bloons in the graveyard range, which I guess can help out if you're struggling to get graveyard. The graveyard concept is something that will be explained in the examples too. Anyways, for the buffs, we're going to be skipping past the shimmer. You don't want to buff him, but for the necromancer, you definitely need to give this guy a berserker brew. A berserker brew will make it way stronger. And also, just as a quick tip, you can retarget it so it's like actually in a good place that will be where you kind of want your bloons to be damaged. And also, as another quick tip, try to damage the bloons within the range of the necromancer. Anyways, when it comes to the Prince of Darkness, you want to keep overclock on him, but this time you're going to be overclocking him. I mean, the out buff on him, but this time you're going to be overclocking him. The overclock will make it do way more damage, and it's kind of crazy. He just spawns way more BFBs and just can do a lot more. It's pretty cool. So the pros is that this guy has insane cleanup, great mid-game and late-game, destroys DDTs, and is very cheap. The cons is that Shimmer isn't that good, and the Necromancer, if you're getting him early in Chimps mode, is often inconsistent against round 40. Then, moving on to the heroes that you want to use them with, Ezili is really good with the Prince of Darkness. You're going to be getting a 50% pierce buff to all the Necromancer bloons with Ezili, and the Hex pairs really well with the attacks of the Prince of Darkness, and then just any basic damage hero if you're going to be using pod as like kind of a cleanup tower in your strategy. So it'd be cleaning up for like another tower, and then just any other hero, I guess, to pair with that other tower or a damage tower, which will be showcased here in this example. So basically, starting off, I'm just going to be going for something very simple here. We're on firing range. This map's going to be great for pod. Pod can work on multi-lane maps. It just may not be as effective. Multi-lane maps, the pod will absolutely shred. It's kind of crazy, and you're going to see that here firsthand on firing range starting out. So I'm just going to get something to place down Churchill. I'm going to have to remove that thing in the middle, the tower in the middle, so we're just going to get an airburst darts, and then later we can remove it, grab something to deal with camo 24, get Churchill before around 28, and that's all good. And then with some damage, we can go into our Necromancer. So the thing about Necromancer early is that it's sometimes not the best. You can use Shimmer for your advantage to like decamo stuff, although I guess I use that here, but more so the wizard itself can kind of take it. Shimmer doesn't really often have that much place in it unless you're going to be using a shimmer to decamo DDTs, which is I guess the most common use, but the Prince of Darkness kind of already like eliminates the DDTs by itself, so not really realistically that good, but I guess it's something. It's not a bad thing to keep the shimmer attack as you're getting the necromancer, but yeah, normally it's going to be quite a bit of way to get to necromancer, and for the early game sometimes you're going to need a lot more help. In this case, Churchill did it just fine. And also the other thing to note is that round 40 with an Alk buff necromancer, it will just destroy round 40, being if it has graveyard in it. And sometimes just like the way the track works, you aren't going to get any graveyard on necromancer for round 40, so sometimes it's just inconsistent, sometimes it won't work. You could use like crazy targeting tricks and stuff to get Bloons to get into necromancer's range, but that's more like advanced level stuff. If you can't get it to work, just don't fret about it. You can always get this guy into the mid game. You could buy him like round 43 and he's just going to absolutely destroy. Here I was able to get it before then, just got an Alk buff, had some graveyard, round 40 destroyed, and then this guy's just gonna go insane all the way up to like round 63, and then you're gonna be shocked, especially if you have a Zeely on you, how the not even the Prince of Darkness, the Necromancer, will just be able to gobble up around 63, because these zombie balloons, as long as you're keeping the graveyard maintained, they're going to be doing a lot. And they keep the graveyard when balloons are popped within the range of the Necromancer or Prince of Darkness itself. Also, funky thing is that if you have Corvus can take the Necromancer graveyard and turn it into mana. You can do that, I guess. A lot of people don't know that, but that's a thing. Anyways, you can get the Prince of Darkness up before round 63. It's going to absolutely shred. But again, you're just going to need to be aware of the placement. You don't want to have this guy like at the end of the track, even though it's a cleanup tower. You normally assume those go at the end of the track, because if you do that, he's just going to run out of graveyard and not replenish. So stuff needs to be coming in the range. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be a good placement for that. And then I'm just going to get Stim here. You can get Stim, I guess. I'm going to overclock it too. That Stim's also going to be helping out that Churchill, so that's why I did that. And from here, you can just save up. So this guy's going to destroy all the insides, gobble down the DDTs like it's nothing. Churchill we're going to have here is going to be taking out the ZOMG layers with the Moab Barrage. So just like the ZOMG layers and the Bad is really what the Prince of Darkness is weak against, and that's like not a whole lot of stuff. That's a pretty good position for a tower to be in. So just this Churchill and the Prince of Darkness is going to keep going. Now typically in a regular game here, you'd go and look for a tower that does a lot of single target damage, preferably something that doesn't stall, so we can keep getting the Necropod graveyard up. So maybe like a Moab Eliminator you could do, even Dark Champion, Tech Terror, something crazy like that, Mad if you want to. But I just saved up all the way into like 109k. I could have bought a Mad, and then all I need is like a first strike to beat this. So yeah, Pod can do a lot. And I know this map is easy, but you can even do these on harder maps too fairly well. Like there's the Mad if you wanted it. So 109k is still a lot of cash. So let's take this on a bit of harder map. I don't really play this map a lot. I don't know the last time I played it. This is Sunken Columns, and we're going to be just getting Azili and Pod. So the one thing to note for this recording is that this was done before that glitch where Azili like wouldn't be able to hex a Moab class balloon unless there was like a ceramic out. So the late game was a little bit scuffed from that. Just keep that in mind. It's a very good synergy. Just kind of trust me on that. You just use Azili's hex when the ZOMGs are out, and they just get wiped out, the ZOMGs, when you hex jump the ZOMGs. If you saw a Azili episode, you kind of know what I mean about that. But then you have the Prince of Darkness just cleaning everything up. Very cool, very easy. And this map I'm going to be bringing out the 025, so that's going to be doing very well up there at the top. And yeah, so again, just to note, the late game was a little bit scuffed, but we're going to be taking our money and doing some other stuff with this. I'm going to be getting Cripple Moab up at the top. Normally I said you wouldn't do that because that's like a stalling tower, but in this position, the Prince of Darkness really has all of the range of the top where everything is, so if something's getting stalled, it doesn't really matter because it's just going to go into the graveyard anyways. So that's pretty cool. I can do that, and then later on I get a E-Def kind of just to clean up what's ever leaking out of it, because this is a harder map. Maybe something might slip out. That doesn't mean that the Prince of Darkness is bad at cleanup. It is really good at cleanup. It's just that we're really kind of limited on space up at the top, and perhaps this is not the best map to be using Prince of Darkness, but it still worked out pretty well. And unlike last time, I can't just save up into Prince of Darkness from like the Necromancer and all that stuff. I'm going to be getting my full auto sniper. This also got a buff recently, so just the full auto sniper ALK buff. That's going to be carrying me well into where I can buy my Necromancer, so we aren't going to deal with any like bogusness on round 40 or some stuff like that. We're just going to take that out just fine, and then I'll get my village up at the top pretty soon with the Necromancer. We're going to ALK buff that. Azilia's going to be on strong, dealing with some Moabs, and then we can use Hex if we need to. But as I said, Hex was bugged when I did this, so sometimes I'd be trying to use Hex and you can't use Hex because, yeah, it's just weird. Luckily, that's fixed now. Actually, as of recording this, the update just came out where that was fixed, so that's nice. Anyways, while I have some time, let's just talk about this tower, the Prince of Darkness. So as you know, a long time ago, well, maybe you don't know, but the tower didn't exist. It was a different tower. It was called the Soulbind, and you could like bind your towers to the Soulbind, and whenever you leaked balloons, that tower would sell, and it turns into lives. Now this was extremely useless because you'd leak lives, tower would sell, turn into lives. First of all, it wasn't even that many lives. Like even if it was 10,000 lives, you don't have that tower anymore, so you don't really have any source of damage, and you're just gonna leak more lives immediately after it. It was not good. Like it really didn't do anything. And then in the second patch, second major patch, version 2.0, it was changed. So like immediately on, this thing was kicked out. It was that bad, and that's crazy compared to how bad a lot of towers were at the beginning of the game, if you know what I'm talking about. But we got Prince of Darkness. It was kind of weak for a good amount of time, and then it got super buffed. Everybody started using it, and it got nerfed like a little bit. Actually, it was just like price nerfs. It wasn't even anything crazy. It was still very strong, but I feel like people have just been forgetting about this tower and kind of forget that it's still like really strong, and you can do so much. It's kind of crazy. So if you want to really like get a cool strategy or make some cool strategies, Prince of Darkness really is the way to go. As you can see here, I'm trying to use the Hex on the ZOMG, and I couldn't use the Hex on ZOMG. Only when it like fully broke down I could use it, and then by that time it was kind of useless. Pretty silly. But yeah, it's a really cool tower, really strong, and you definitely can make a lot of good strategies using this. It's perfect for cleanup if you need like a strategy and your kind of setup is a little bit weak to DDTs. This guy's going to come in, it's going to make things crazy. And as I mentioned, you kind of can use it on multi-lane maps too. I guess technically this is a multi-lane map. They do overlap at one area, but they then split off, so yeah. So you'll notice right here, we're generally taking care of things pretty well. Probably would have been better in hindsight to throw a Relentless Glue up there too. That's something that I did not do, but get it that overclock. Just make sure you use the overclock at a good time, because there is going to be some downtime on the overclock, but that will just allow you to spawn way more zombie balloons, and it's going to do way better. You can also increase its pierce more by adding something like the Abyssal Warrior, or even Lord of the Abyss if you want. That might be a little bit overboard though, but that would be a very good idea. Unfortunately, the Zeely buff only buffs the Necromancer, like balloons itself, not the blimps, which is kind of odd, but yeah. So there we go. You can see the fate of the unfortunate bug there. Caused round 98 to be a little bit closer than needed, but it's alright, still pretty cool tower.
Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!